morning, everybody. We are going to see Sri Ramakrishna, his legacy. This could also be a kind of teleology on Sri Ramakrishna. Teleology is trying to understand a phenomena not by its causes, but by its effects. And as it has been customary, we will close our eyes for a few minutes and think deeply about the nature of our own reality. I will then chant a line in Sanskrit, translate it while you keep on meditating. Think of your own reality within. Dhyanavastita tadgatena manasa pashyantiyam yogino yasyantam navidur suragana devaya tasmai namaha. That reality whom the yogis realized through deep meditation, with their minds fully absorbed in that reality, and whose extent neither the gods nor the non-gods know. To that supreme reality do we meditate upon. Om, peace, peace, peace. In one of the very ancient hymns in the Rig Veda, there are 4 Vedas, and the Rig Veda is the oldest of them. We find a hymn to Hiranyagarbha. It's called a Hiranyagarbha Suktam. Literally, it means the golden wombed. But actually, it means the source of consciousness. And there's a long hymn to this source of consciousness, and it is trying to describe its various attributes. And at every ending of the sentence, there's a beautiful, you can say, line that says, "Who is that God whom we offer our oblations? Kasmai devaya havisha videma." The other interpretation is, to that God do we offer our oblations. Now, this is that reality, that source of consciousness which pervades everything and everywhere, and that has manifested as the world and as souls and as everything. To that reality, God, do we offer our oblations? Swami Vivekananda, in one of his hymns, which occurs in the Vespers hymn, Swami Vivekananda says of Shri Ramakrishna, Jrimbita Yuga Ishvara, this avatar of the age has manifested as Sri Ramakrishna. Now, Sri Ramakrishna is the topic today. When we find it in the Gospel, he used to ask his devotees, what do you think of me? What is your evaluation? In his usual style. Not because Sri Ramakrishna was vain. Obviously, no. He could not even refer to himself as I. He used to say this. So, what do you think of this place? How do you look on this place? He used to say. But the question is, what do you think of me? This question was more to gauge the disciples' depth of understanding of the reality. And some of the answers were astounding. It is true that those answers were from those individuals, but it also gives us an opportunity to question our own faith in Sri Ramakrishna. What do you think of Sri Ramakrishna? Just because you've read something or because I'm prompting you to think about it, no. It's a deep dive down within yourself to ask yourself, what is Sri Ramakrishna? And even though we will plunge deeper and deeper and deeper, Sri Ramakrishna still remains quite unknown to us. Like the opening chant, even all these great yogins who meditate on that reality which is beginningless and endless, and whom even the gods do not know, that reality, it's deep. So, this unknown reality becomes known through an avatar. That's the reason why we have avatars. Another problem with understanding Sri Ramakrishna, one is that great unknowingness. The other is Sri Ramakrishna's protein nature, that is, the ability to transform himself into various forms according to the temperament, attitude and character of the disciples. It's a wonderful, you can say, study. There were disciples and devotees who used to look at Sri Ramakrishna as Shiva. There were those who used to look at him as Vishnu. There were some who used to look at him as Kali. And some said he was Christ and the Buddha and Chaitanya, where you get the whole range of spiritual personalities that people saw in Sri Ramakrishna. That is what Sri Ramakrishna had, another unique feature. Sri Ramakrishna himself did not like one-sidedness. So, one is the great extent, the great unknowingness of Sri Ramakrishna, yet Sri Ramakrishna is intimately known. And then we have Sri Ramakrishna's ability of assuming different forms for different devotees. To come back to, what is his legacy for us? The very first legacy is his picture. Now, it may sound trivial, it isn't. Every avatar, when he or she descends, that's the meaning of an avatar, the descent, has the potential to become something called the form that is going to be worshipped. It's called Archana Murti, the worshipful form, or the form that's adorable. This is one of the hallmarks of every avatar. That form is going to be worshipped, and it's an adorable form. Sri Ramakrishna himself, when he saw his picture, said, "This form will be worshipped in every home as days pass by." And this is a really great gift. When he noticed Holy Mother worshipping his picture, even when he was alive, he himself worshipped his own picture. So his picture, and as we know, that incident where Swami Vivekananda had to sing and to throw him into samadhi because he was unwilling to have the photographer make him sit and pose and take his photograph. And after it was done, he looked at his picture and saying, "This form will be worshipped in every." This is that great meditation posture of Sri Ramakrishna. Holy Mother, she says, "Kaya Chaya," like the body and its shadow, Sri Ramakrishna picture is also like his shadow, his reflection. Holy Mother was perfectly aware, and it was demonstrable that Sri Ramakrishna dwelt in his picture. Swami Vivekananda tested, and we also have tested, and so many people have tested. Yes, Sri Ramakrishna dwells in his picture. That is the worshipful form, this picture of his. It's not an ordinary picture. He himself dwells in that. When Holy Mother was asked, "Does Sri Ramakrishna accept that offerings, the food offerings that are given?" saying, "Yes." From his picture, from his third eye, we see a ray of light emerging out and touching all the food articles. So here we have the proof that Sri Ramakrishna. Now, what is the real proof for you? You can experience it, and that is the legacy. I am not talking about legacy for the whole world and in a kind of a philosophical way. This is his legacy to us all. The second legacy that he gave us was, of course, when he saw his picture, he said, "This is a high state of yoga." Because when he was photographed, he was in the state of samadhi. This high state of yoga is going to take over everything. Why? For the simple reason that humanity is getting on a different level cognitively, intellectually, morally, spiritually. They will need yoga. And so Swami Vivekananda, who brought yoga to the West, proliferated. He spoke about the various yogas, harmonized all of them. He brought all the various philosophies of yoga within his teachings on yoga and spread it all over. So here we have his yoga teachings principally given to all humanity. Today, if you look at California itself, you'll find every street corner has got some yoga studio. It tells us that things are moving in the right direction. So Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda also in his Vesper hymn says, Yoga Sahai. He is the helper in yoga. And what is yoga? Yoga, as we know, is the union of the individual soul and the Supreme Soul. That is yoga. So this is his great legacy for us to join ourselves to the Supreme Soul. Another great legacy, and above all legacies, is, of course, Sri Ramakrishna's gift to us all, Holy Mother. Well, this will take the entire day to speak about Holy Mother. For 34 years after he passed away, Holy Mother continued to live to demonstrate the motherhood of God, to set up an ideal, to set up what is spiritual life in practice. She brought, as it were, the entire Vedanta into a practical level where each one of us can understand and each one of us can practice it. She herself was so diligent in her spiritual practices. And above all, Sri Ramakrishna worshipped Holy Mother and entrusted all his spiritual experiences and realizations to her. She is now the repository of all things Ramakrishna. And if the father is angry or unapproachable, you can always have mother. And Holy Mother says, my child, remember that you have a mother. Now this can be spoken only by the Divine Mother who identifies herself with everyone, all children. To her, not only human beings, but the poor, animals and birds and everything was part of her great family. She showed that exemplary, you can say, dexterity in work, and yet her heart was so full of love and compassion. She showed us how to suffer, because human life is suffering. Don't recoil, don't run away. Stand your ground and learn to suffer. And yet transcend that suffering, because inevitably you will have to transcend the smallness of life to get into the great reality. So this was Sri Ramakrishna's great gift to us all, the mother. Yes, as time goes by, we are seeing more and more of her influence in our lives. Today she is associated with the life and destinies of millions and millions of devotees all over the world. How can that be possible? It was through Sri Ramakrishna's legacy for us to give. In fact, if you have Holy Mother in your life, you don't have to worry about anything. This is the greatest, the highest and the best thing that you could ever have or prayed for or hoped for. This is Holy Mother for us. The next legacy is the book. Yeah, obviously his sayings, which are encapsulated in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. This book is the book of the age. I remember one Swami telling us, when I first read the Gospel, it was a spiritual experience. In this book, Sri Ramakrishna has simplified everything that's spiritual, everything that's metaphysical, everything that is so abstract into something that's concrete, and he has given everybody at all levels something to live by, something to hold on to. It's a book, yeah, but then every major religions have been spread. Why? By holding aloft their book. They have gathered around the book. The book has become central to their beliefs. The entire edifice of religion has been built on books. Take for instance, we have something called, in India, we have one of the scriptures called the Ramcharitmanas, the mind lake of the story of Rama. It was written by Tulsidas Goswami in the 15th century. That book, one book, became the solace of millions and millions and millions of people. They could withstand all these great invasions that were kind of running over them for centuries. And even the young children and till the old generation also, they imbibe and read and discuss that great life of Rama. It changed society. It protected society. It changed society. It changed the cultural mind. It gave rise to poetry. It gave rise to art. It gave rise to philosophies. It gave rise to everything. One book. And today we are saying the same thing that's happening with the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna and his divine play also. Sri Ramakrishna and his divine play. It is having a cultural, you can say, impact. So many things have been being derived from this book. So this cultural impact is going to take place in a very, very big way. This, we are seeing just the beginnings of this marvelous cultural shift. And it's not just ordinary culture, it's a spiritual culture, and that is what's happening. It's also leading humanity to a different level of spirituality. It's all this hocus pocus and all this esoteric and all this mysterious, you can say, things that are being touted around as religion have all been brushed out. religion is a clear, clean path to the reality. You don't need to have any hocus pocus, any magic or any illusion and all these kind of silly things that are going around in the name of religion. And these you can say claims made by such people, and that is one of the indicators of something going wrong. People start claiming. So, he has cleansed the religions of all its encrustations and superstition. He was completely against. And Sri Ramakrishna's book itself, you can see how direct he speaks about the reality. It is known, and he speaks about that to us. The next legacy Sri Ramakrishna has given, I think, is one of those, I am just taking the few salient ones. There are, of course, hundreds and hundreds. He was, as it were, the Kapala Mochana. Swami Vivekananda says, he is the wiper out of your destiny that has been written, and he rewrites that. In India, we have a tradition of reading one's forehead to understand one's future, past, present, future, like there are palmist. So, we have what's written on your forehead. Swami Vivekananda called him the Kapala Mochana. So, Sri Ramakrishna, he is a Kapal. That is, he is going to wipe out all your past karma and lead you. This is another indication of what an avatar is. Many people, they claim they are avatars. It is not so easy. It is a very difficult job. It is one of the toughest jobs. People say, I have got a tough job, I have got a tough life. An avatar beats them all, because that avatar has to cleanse the doom of millions and millions and millions of people. That is his legacy, and it is free. Only thing you need to do is go and worship him. Who wouldn't like that? So, all your past has all been wiped clean, and he has rewritten your own future. So, remember this. This is called the Kapala. Kapala is forehead, Mochana is clean. He has cleaned what has been writ for you. Another legacy he has given us is this Ramakrishna Order, these Vedanta societies. One of the reasons why Swami Vivekananda started this Vedanta societies was to systematically preach the great message of Sri Ramakrishna. And in this order, Sri Ramakrishna is ever present, Mother is ever protecting. So, this order has been growing and growing and growing and proliferating in places deep in the hinterland of even obscure countries. So, this is another gift, a legacy for us all. The next legacy he has given is, as we have read all these various literature, spiritual literature from different parts of the world, they speak about their gods. This person speaks about their gods and hundreds of gods and gods and gods and gods. And there are those agnostics who are saying there is nothing like that. And the atheists say they snicker and can say taunt the theist. What has been a troubling factor for many spiritual aspirants is how have the different scriptures in the past and also what will be in the future have said and spoken about and revealed a reality in contradictory terms, appears contradictory. Sri Ramakrishna has cut through that contradiction and has harmonized all the scriptures by practicing all those scriptures. He also harmonized the past and the present and the future. Take for instance, when we were young, we used to read the Ramayana. When we were young, we used to be told stories of that Ramayana, and we grew up knowing that these stories are real. And then as we kept on growing and growing and growing, then those doubts started creeping in. What? I don't think these are just stories, this is mythology. It's meant for the kindergarten of religion, not to be taken seriously. And as we kept on growing and growing and growing, and we found all those things are rubbish, nonsense. And here Sri Ramakrishna comes, he says, I have seen Rama, I have seen Sita. Here it is. So he authenticated the entirety of the Ramayana. Similarly, he authenticated even Christianity and Islam and all these. How? By practicing them, saying, I saw it. One of Swami Vivekananda's description of Sri Ramakrishna is, he is the slayer of the demon of doubt in this age. Samshaya Raksha Mahastra Mahastram. So here he says that Swami Vivekananda says that he is the killer or the destroyer of the doubt, the demon of doubt, by the great, you can say, weapon. So doubts about God, read his life and teachings, and all your doubts will evaporate. Not only of the present, when all the other scriptures stand authenticated, which is extremely important. So there are times an avatar comes to establish firmly, not re-establish, establish firmly. As it is said, an avatar is a fulfillment. The famous quotation in the Bible, I think it is, for I have come to fulfill, not to destroy. This is exactly what happens. They come to fulfill all the scriptures, all the traditions, all the, you can say, gods and goddesses and everybody. This is one of his great legacies. Now he went through the spiritual disciplines of various traditions within Hinduism, as I say, intra-faith and interfaith different. And if you read his life and the spiritual experiences, that is breathtaking. He, as it were, has brought down all the secrets that are to be known about the reality straight down to us. And yet we know how weak and incompetent we are to recapitulate those experiences, the experience of Brahman. So he does a nice job out of it. All these spiritual experiences are now centered into Sri Ramakrishna. If you want any spiritual experience, you will get it only in him. I won't say only, but there is an incident, Swami Vivekananda and Swami Abhedananda. While Sri Ramakrishna was in Kashipur suffering from throat cancer, they had left and gone to Bodh Gaya, which is the place where Buddha received his enlightenment. He became the Buddha. And people here all worried, and what happened? Where are you? These people had, without telling anybody, had left. And after 3 or 4 days, they returned. Swami Shivananda also, 3 of them had. So Sri Ramakrishna looks at them and smiles. Yeah, and because he couldn't speak, he makes a gesture. Did you find anything anywhere? Spirituality? He says nothing. He does it like that. This time, all these things is here. So he demonstrated there very clearly, rather enunciated to Swami Vivekananda, that all spirituality in this age will be centered there within him. So if you want to have any spiritual experiences, you better go to him. There's no other way. Another legacy that he has given, religions have been quarreling and quarreling and quarreling. At least the 2000 years of history that we know have been bloody and merciless. It has made people recoil from religion. It's so kind of that religions have become so arrogant and so powerful, and they have been quarreling against each other for thousands of years. He, in his pithy sayings, Jato mot tato path, that is, as many faiths, so many paths. The literal translation is, as many viewpoints about the reality are so many paths. So you stick to your path sincerely, somebody else will stick to their path sincerely. You all don't need to compare notes and start fighting against each other. Follow your path sincerely, you will reach the goal. So he has put an end to all this religious quarrel, and mainly it was, religion has been a very powerful factor in civilization. So it has fueled everything behind, especially the politics behind it. He divested that, saying you need to have this sincerity to your own viewpoints. Don't try to imitate others. One of the things he disliked was trying to imitate others. Have your own beliefs, have your own faith, work it out. Don't look at somebody else and try to be that somebody else. You be yourself. That is the lesson. We compare ourselves with others, and that's a normal human tendency that's completely based on ignorance. You compare yourself with what you were yesterday because you are the best there is, and you start improving yourself. So you don't compare yourself with anyone other outside, but with your own self. Like there was so much quarrels between religions, even in India, we had these various sects all jockeying for position and power. And he says that, yeah, like the Bhagavad Gita says, like I am the thread that runs through all these pearls. I hold all of them. Mai sarvamidam protam sutre manigana iva. Beautiful. Money is the pearl and sutra is thread. Like I am the thread that runs through all the pearls. He has held everything together. I could go on and on. I waited for the end to tell about that. Another very important legacy that he left for us was Swami Vivekananda. Now he says in his vision, he saw 7 great sages meditating high in this realm of the absolute, where even the gods couldn't go approach. These sages had surpassed all the gods and everything in their purity and their holiness and in their knowledge of reality. Swami Vivekananda was one of those 7 sages, and not the whole, just a small fraction descended down to earth from one sage in the form of a flame. That became Swami Vivekananda. Imagine if the whole thing would have come. Yeah, I wish it would have come, of course. He was the greatest gift to humanity. And Swami Vivekananda says, it's good to get outside my body, to cast it off like a worn out garment, but I shall not cease to work. I shall work till the world shall know that it is one with God. So Swami Vivekananda is ceaselessly working, saying my message indeed can be put in a few words, and that is to preach unto mankind its divinity and how to make it manifest in every movement of life. This is his message for us. And I could go on and on, Swami Vivekananda. However, I will leave it all to you. Now, what do you think of Sri Ramakrishna, who has given you all these gifts? Free. Like he used to ask, what do you think of me? Keep on thinking now. Like that source of consciousness, the Hiranyagarbha, which is saying, has manifested in all these forms. Kasmai devaya havisha videma. How do we worship this source of consciousness, God? How? By love, through love. That's the only thing that you can worship him. So the question is, how do you worship Sri Ramakrishna? Through love. But what about this yoga and this and that? It will come. All will come because he is a repository of all yogas and all spiritual experiences. He is a harmonizer, the great harmonizer of everything. You will get it there also free. Take it. I think, who doesn't want free things? As that great source of consciousness has various forms, so also Sri Ramakrishna has various forms. Yes, don't be fooled by that one picture that Sri Ramakrishna is that just one picture. In one of my Friday talks, I had spoken about we are given one mantra, and we are told to repeat it over and over and over again. A Swami, a friend of mine, saying, "Oh, how boring it is! Just one mantra. You've got to repeat it all your life." We could have had multiple mantras, one for Monday, one for Tuesday, one for Wednesday, or something like that. Like in Buddhism, they say, it's a common kind of this. Even in Hinduism, they say, you don't see the same river twice. Yeah, but that's a river. No, you don't see that same river twice. It has changed. So every time you repeat a mantra, it is not the same mantra. It's a different mantra. So it are various levels of that one mantra. So similarly, Sri Ramakrishna also has got various levels. You are seeing Sri Ramakrishna is one. Yes, one, but many inside. So the one and the many have coalesced. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.